Welcome to The Honest Media. I'm Tom Pappert, your host. This week we've got a very special interview with a man who you may remember, an artist named Julian Raven, a recently legal immigrant who now lives in New York. And Raven painted a huge, magnificent painting depicting Donald Trump restoring the United States to its former glory, making it great again. But that description really doesn't do it justice. Unafraid and Unashamed is the official name, or the Trump painting, as it's often referred to. And this painting has been featured in art shows across the country, and was even featured in one of the videos that played during the Republican National Convention. And Julian and I sat down for about half an hour through Skype. And unfortunately, half an hour is just a little bit too long to broadcast, but we will show you about half the interview at the end of our program, and we'll post the full version to our brand new website, thehonestmedia.com. You can also enter on thehonestmedia.com to win a signed print, and you can use our special link to save 15% on prints and bumper stickers of the iconic Trump painting. But first, we absolutely have to look at some of the week's biggest stories. And yes, we're going to go further into the Wikileaks, the DNC leaks. And if you're upset, don't be. There's thousands and thousands of emails, and I find something new and completely unprecedented every time I go back to the website. But before we get started, I recently said that whenever liberals raise their bar of hypocrisy to a new height, I, perhaps naively, assume that's it. They can't go any higher. They can't get any more hypocritical than this. And then, every single time, they raise the bar. Well, it happened again. For those who, I don't know, had your head under a rock these past few days, or maybe you were chemically castrated for whatever reason, the New York Post published an X-rated, fully nude photo of Melania this past week, Melania Trump. And liberals, predictably, erupted in body-shaming, woman-hating rage. This woman is going to be the first lady. How can anybody respect a woman who chooses to expose herself in such a fashion? It's deplorable. We can't have a first lady who posed nude. So, Melania Trump posed nude 20 years ago. Disgusting, degrading, awful. But Caitlyn Jenner poses nude. Stunning and brave, courageous, amazing, a true woman. Malia Obama exposes her butt and twerks for onlookers at Lollapalooza. Oh, she's so free-spirited. She's having fun. Let her enjoy her youth. And this is really the kicker. Obama's mother, Anna Dunham, is revealed to be a potential porn star. Oh, who cares? It's a non-issue. It was a different time. She had to make ends meet. Quit being a racist. Never mind that Dunham is white. So it's okay for a liberal, or a poster child of the liberal-backed trans rights movement, to pose nude, expose herself in public, or even star in pornography. But when Melania Trump, a successful model turned entrepreneur turned loving mother, is found to have appeared in a tasteful nude photograph, that's awful. Avert your eyes. Bar her from the White House. Really, liberals, you've got to try harder if you want to be taken seriously by anybody who still has a functioning brain. We'll be right back after the break. I'm Tom Pappert for The Honest Media. Now, make sure to find us online on our new website. That's thehonestmedia.com, thehonestmedia.com, where, again, you can enter to win a free print of Julian Raven's Unafraid and Unashamed. Welcome back to The Honest Media. I'm Tom Pappert, here with Craig Chrysler, and the first thing we have to talk about before we delve into the leaks is the massive, huge ratings disparity between Clinton and Trump. We're talking 4 million people.
That's quite a bit.
So, let's see, it says 27.8 million people watched Hillary Clinton address the delegates. And then it says 32.2 million people watched Trump via the LA Times. Mm-hmm. That's a big disparity, considering there are more registered Democrats in this country than there are Republicans.
Yeah, it is. I heard or thought I read that overall the DNC had way more viewers, so it's surprising that when it came time for her to speak that they didn't even watch.
Right? Yeah, they want to watch all the stars maybe, but
Uh-huh.
I think maybe, and I'm not sure if that's true. I thought I read the opposite of that, but if that is the case, it could just be they wanted to watch the protesters. I mean, it was such a spectacle.
Yeah.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz being booed off the stage, the Bernie Sanders people having their signs ripped out of their hands in the middle of the convention center.
Yeah, and they didn't even show the good stuff on TV where they were broke through the gate and was trying to get in, and
That's
the cops
right.
were fighting them
and
back.
The cops are, and then I love this. They're trying to get through the gate, and the police officer is, pushing them back. No, you can't come in. No, you can't come in. Some guy loses his cell phone, and then it's, oh, police brutality.
Yeah, there was a lot of them. I'm surprised they didn't push past them cops, actually.
Well, really, I mean, I know there were 5,500 police officers at the RNC because the media hyped it up so big, saying that's where all the bad things are going to happen. It's going to be in Cleveland. Probably they had just the usual, 500 to 1,000 police officers in Philadelphia, and
Yeah.
Philadelphia is where they needed them.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, nobody wanted to hear Hillary speak. I tried watching her and I fell
did too.
asleep.
Oh, it was just so awful.
I fell asleep just like Bill did.
That's true. Falling asleep in the back. And then you notice Tim Kaine, the VP, he looked over and saw Bill falling asleep.
Yeah, he was like,
well, this
"Ugh."
looks bad.
like,
Tried to cover him up with his body, maybe the cameras won't see him.
Well,
if
he
I'm
looked
there.
at him like wondering if he should wake him up or not, but he
He
looked
did, he
afraid
did.
to.
Well, because, if he did, then it would be really noticeable, because, if you're asleep and somebody goes,
And Chelsea was just sitting right beside him, not doing nothing.
Okay, what was up with Chelsea? Because when she announced Hillary, it was the most insanely creepy robotic speech I have ever heard. It's like ChelseaBot.exe was having some kind of fatal operating error, not enough system memory.
Well, that's how she sounds in other speeches I heard, like where she got paid $600,000 for 22 minutes of work.
Really? Wow. Well,
You-
that doesn't
you see
surprise
that,
me
yeah?
being a Clinton. I mean, that's kind of...
And it was for like CBS or somebody. She did a Geico ad. She interviewed the Geico guy and she got paid $600,000 for it.
Oh my God! It makes you wonder what Geico got for that. Because the only
Yeah.
time the Clintons will do something like that is if they get a big return.
Well, she wasn't hired by Geico. She was hired through, I don't remember,
Oh, okay.
CBS or somebody like that.
Well, CBS, that makes sense, knowing what we do about the DNC leaks. I mean, they're at their beck and call. I've got one right here. Morning Joe is the headline, the title of this email.
God, that guy's disgusting.
Well, he used to be okay before this email. It's literally, it almost coincides. When he started being a total migraine to sit through, he used to be pretty fair to Trump.
Well, yeah, and I used to watch. I've been watching him for years and years. I mean, in the show, he was always left-leaning.
Sure.
Even though he is a Republican, but
He's always been
yeah,
fair up until recently.
yeah.
And basically, what I think happened is this. This is from a woman named Miranda to a guy named Postenbach at dnc.org. Blanking Joe, claiming the system is rigged. Party against him. Him meaning Trump, we assume. We have no way to know. We need to complain to their producer.
Mm-hmm.
That's how much control the Democrats have over our media. Blanking Joe. You can guess what I'm blanking here.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden, Joe, who had previously been quite fair, Joe and Mika were almost like the only two liberals who were on the Trump train there for a while. I don't know if you remember, but probably in, I would say October of last year, Mika went up to Trump and felt his hair. Oh my God, it is real. And,
That Mika, she's disgusting, and her dad's disgusting too. Do you know who her dad is?
No, I don't.
Zbigniew Brzezinski, the architect of all the pro-Taliban Russia fighting and all that stuff. So
Really?
you can thank her dad for the mess we're in today.
I had no idea.
Oh,
about
yeah.
that.
He's
I
a
guess
total piece of
well,
trash.
the gossip train, and I have no way of knowing this is true, but the gossip is that Mika and Joe are having an affair.
They kind of look like they have something going on. But yeah, he's so weird now.
Oh, I
and,
know. It's
yeah.
like, and I think I would bet money because before this, he had been seen at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, him and Trump were legitimate friends, and now he's like afraid to say anything halfway positive about Trump. If he says anything about Trump, it's got to be, he went too far with the taco bowl tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually watched the show from how much I can actually sit there to watch it before I get disgusted quite frequently, and they have both just really turned on him.
They've gone over
really
the edge.
turned.
I mean,
yeah.
really, any loyalty they had within the conservative, because I think they were probably one of the only tolerable shows on the entire network. Now it's gone off the edge, and,
Yeah.
and we've got another DNC email. I think it's right here where they talk about, as much as MSNBC may want Morning Joe to be their star, everybody knows Rachel Maddow is the true fascination. She's the one who gets through to young people. This is the DNC telling MSNBC, "Oh, your star isn't Joe, your star is Rachel. We want to do interviews with Rachel."
Mm-hmm.
And it's really sad to think of how under the beck and call they are. And this is, you know what, we'll save that. We'll save that. But, okay, so now what did you think? You sent it to me originally. There's a clip of Bernie Sanders being booed at the God, no. He would be more than booed at the Republican National Convention, I'll tell you that. But being booed at the Democratic National Convention after he said, "We have to make Hillary win. She has to be our president." And they were loudly
yeah.
booing. And his wife comes up to him. And first of all, what a troll, right? But on the middle of a live mic, she goes, and I'm butchering the quote, but she says something along the lines of, "They don't know you're going to be put up as a potential nominee. That's what the issue is."
Yeah.
And Bernie never mentioned that. And so two talk radio hosts, who is this? Martin Mavis. They say, well, that to me proves that Bernie never intended to win. If he's not going to make a speech and say, "I need to be the nominee, I'm the one who can beat Trump, blah, blah, blah." Instead, he just flat out endorsed Hillary. So what do you think? To me, I think Trump's the next Hitler, I'm afraid. I think that's where he's coming
Well, that's funny since it's coming from a socialist, and Hitler was a socialist. But yeah, it sure it's starting to look like, which is not surprising at all, that he was controlled opposition the whole time, just somebody to run against her, so it looked like she's actually running against somebody, and in the meantime he got filthy rich off all the idiots giving him money.
You know, he did. That's one thing. He has been getting used to steak and lobster for dinner, flights on massive jumbo jets, like Trump-style jets, where they had fancy cheese and filet mignon and and caviar, all kinds of 1% food. He's been getting used to this for the last year. You know, one of his demands from the DNC for him to step down and endorse Hillary, do you know what it is?
Oh, there was a couple, I don't remember.
Well, this is the big one. He said, if I'm going to step down, if I'm going to endorse Hillary Clinton, I want a jet for the entirety of the fall, and you're going to pay for it, so that way I can fly around and tell all my burn victims that they have to go vote for Hillary. He wanted a private jet. That was his demand, to step down and say, "Okay, Hillary, you can be the nominee." A private jet for Bernie Sanders. This is the guy who his claim to fame was Jimmy Carter style. He would ride in the middle seat of an airplane and in coach. And that was his big claim to fame.
Well, it's not surprising. He's a socialist, and what do socialists do when they take over? They become the 1%.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Kill everybody underneath them.
And kill anybody who disagrees.
Yeah.
Just ask those poor Russian farmers. Oh, wait, you can't.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after the break. I'm Tom Pappert here with Craig Chrysler, and again, thehonestmedia.com. Welcome back to The Honest Media. I'm Tom Pappert here with Craig Chrysler, and this is just juicy. I feel like this is Inside Edition or one of those gossip shows. This is from, when was it? January 28th of this year. And for those who don't remember, Donald Trump retweets user calling Megyn Kelly bimbo for GQ article. Or for posing in GQ. And Megyn Kelly, Fox News host, this is people.com by the way, Megyn Kelly, Fox News television host. She thinks she's a star. And maybe she is because of her bimbo status.
Yeah.
She takes scantily clad, the same type of photos Melania took, to be fair, and scantily clad photos, and then she goes and asks all these gotcha questions to Donald Trump. So somebody tweeted at Trump, "She's a bimbo," and Trump retweeted it, which, first of all, a retweet is not a tweet. You know, you can't vet every person who sends you something. You know, you press a button, that's a retweet. That it drives me nuts when people act like Trump said it, you know. But so Donald Trump says, for all intents and purposes, according to the media, Megyn Kelly's a bimbo. Megyn Kelly's a bimbo. This is from a couple short months later in May. And this is in the DNC leaks, the Wikileaks. Headline, title to the email, Megyn Kelly is a bimbo. The DNC agrees with Trump. Megyn Kelly's a bimbo. And it says, according to the online definition of bimbo, a bimbo is an attractive but empty-headed young woman, especially one perceived as a willing sex object. In other words, a slut. If you need help with that definition, you need to stop reading and go back to school. So how did I reach the conclusion, you may ask, that Megyn Kelly is a bimbo? During the trumpet run for clown president in January, he wrote blah, blah, blah. So the Democrats and the media gave Trump endless hours of crap for calling Megyn Kelly a bimbo, retweeting somebody's tweet that said Megyn Kelly is a bimbo. And then they emailed to each other in the insider in the super secret, deep, dark, disgusting world of the DNC. Oh yeah, she's totally a bimbo.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about with the hypocrisy. Every time I think they reach a new level of hypocrisy, like, oh, they can't top that. That's it. That's the new level. Then they just go ahead and raise the bar another notch.
Not surprising. I mean,
I suppose
taco bowls and everything else.
That's right.
What won't they say?
Don't you love their Taco Bowl Miami and gay? I'm sorry, I meant Hispanic. Their Hispanic Taco Bowl and Hispanic Taco Tico, Taco Bell. Democratic racism card revoked. And this is another fun DNC. This shows, I think, how ridiculously entitled they are. I mean, it's just unbelievable how entitled they are. This is from Cookie Parker to Lindsay W. Rachelski, and this is the title to this email is Forward State Dinner Countdown. Lindsay, what is it going to take for me to get invited to a state dinner? I have done more for the administration than a lot of these people who have name recognition. I have been patient and not kicked up a stink because it is not my style. But as the Obama administration winds down, I am feeling very down about this. I haven't received any type of commission appointment other than the holiday parties that everyone gets invited to and the African Leaders Dinner. I have never been invited to the small gatherings or concerts, much less a real state dinner. I raised a lot of money for the DNC for both cycles. Got someone to give $1 million to Priorities USA, a super PAC. And here I sit, venting and feeling very much underappreciated. Plus, not even feeling better for venting. But thanks for listening. Cookie.
Cookie's upset.
Cookie's mad. How entitled can these people get though? I brought Obama money. I want to go to the dinner. It's like a little kid, I swear. It's
Cookie, I'll take you to dinner wherever you are.
There you go, Craig Chrisley. You know what these women look like, Craig. The Democratic Party is by, for, and of crazy cat ladies.
Oh, I can only imagine. Yeah.
Well, there you go. You've got a pity date, Cookie.
Come on, Cookie.
Craig's going to take you to dinner. Craig's going to make it all up to you. It won't be the state dinner, but
we'll go to Outback or something nice.
Take Cookie to Outback, make it up to it. It's all right, Cookie. Well, we're gonna get through this. Go to Outback. I bet you even get the appetizers.
Yeah, oh yeah.
What a good day. What a good day. Gets the appetizer.
I'll show her a better time than Obama.
Well, I almost printed this article, but it's too. Some things. This is why we're the honest media. If the only substantiation is an anonymous source, or if it's just linked to another article that's linked to another article that's linked to another article that all say the same thing, I just say, well, then it's probably not real. But there's a lot of people out there who what's Michelle Obama's real name?
Michael?
Exactly. There's a lot of people who believe this.
Yeah.
And there are doctors, physicians who will testify on video and say repeatedly, well, if you look at the
Body structure.
her shoulders, her jaw, all these different things that you can look at. I'm not even talking about the picture of her in the blue dress with the codpiece.
Yeah.
They'll say, no,
Yeah, there's scientific proportions for male and female, and she fits the male proportions.
and they say not just fits, but I mean, she would be like in the 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1%, to quote Bernie Sanders, of the women who can fit in that category. And so I find it fascinating. And with Obama's love of the transgender movement, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Which Obama was known to be gay when he was younger. That's a widely...
I only knew about the Choom
I don't
gang.
even know if that's hearsay. That might be proven fact when he was younger.
I only knew about the Choom gang when he and his buddies, and this is all probably made up because there's people and they're like, who? I never knew this guy. But that's beside the point. When Obama and his buddies in their crappy old van would go smoke obscene amounts of pot.
Yeah.
And
well, didn't he write about that in his book and the cocaine use?
Yeah. This is one thing about Obama's cocaine use. So he wrote, and I believe it was Dreams from My Father, or whatever his.
Yeah.
It's not even his
Dreams
book.
from his fake father.
Exactly. It's ghostwritten.
Yeah.
But he said, yeah, we smoked pot. We smoked lots of pot. And maybe a little blow on the weekends. Now, I've known people who have done cocaine. I'm sure you have known people who have done cocaine. We're in the media, for God's sake.
Yeah.
But when somebody says maybe a little blow on the weekends, isn't that really just code for, oh yeah, I was a total cokehead. I did it from morning to sundown every single day of my life.
Yeah.
Nobody does a little blow on the weekends. That's not how it works.
If you're doing something, you're doing a lot.
Yes. There's a reason they call it the most addictive drug in the world. But yeah, a little blow on the weekends.
Blowing that and something else from what I heard.
We're going to get us shut off the air. But now this is breaking, and more is going to come out before this airs. But did you see Melania? I would have liked to have seen Melania at Lollapalooza. But did you see Malia Obama at Lollapalooza? This is what we referenced
I saw that footage
in the top segment. And talk about unpresidential, right? I mean, she's listening to music. She's got her adoring fans behind her, all recording on their iPhones. And what does she do? She lifts her skirt and twerks.
Yeah.
For the entire world to see. Does she not understand she's the president's daughter?
Well, she might not be, actually, but, yeah, what a class act. You did a great job, Obama's.
Really?
I'm surprised. What's she even doing there? Isn't that a security risk, you'd think?
Well, they spend $90 million on vacations. Who cares?
Yeah.
She probably has her own little cordoned off area. In fact, that's what it looks like with the Secret Service protecting her. You can't make.
It looks like she's up on some sort of stage.
Yeah, I did see that. But just imagine those poor Secret Service people who have to chaperone and follow around Malia Obama, and then they're trying to be respectable, they're trying to do a good job, and they see her lift up her skirt and start twerking.
Yeah. Yeah, you think she'd be a little smarter than that.
You'd think. Daughter of two college-educated people.
Yeah.
You'd think maybe she'd be a little bit smarter than that. Obama's a constitutional lawyer. But maybe she's just so convinced because of the DNC's connection with the media, Nothing bad can happen to me. I'm a liberal. I'm Obama's daughter. That could be it.
Well, people like to say the Bush girls were bad too, which they also were, but still, that don't...
No, but what happened with the media with the Bush girls? It was hourly updates on how, sneaking out of the White House and doing all these bad things. Everybody heard about it every second of every single day because they had an R in front of their name.
Yeah, I haven't seen that on any mainstream news yet.
No, neither have I. I've seen a report. I'm reading from the Daily Mail right now. I saw it on Breitbart. I saw it on places like that. And here we are talking about it, obviously, in the alternative media. But it's not going to be on MSNBC. It might be on Fox, but they're They don't play dirty, which is why the network's failing. And it's going to be completely. Oh well, that's no big deal. She's a young girl having fun in the what do they say in her youth, in the best years of her life. We're not going to say she can't do that. That would be wrong. No, it is wrong. It's disgusting, degenerate behavior, and I expect better from the first family.
True.
All right, when we come back, it'll be my interview with Julian Raven, the Trump painting artist. And what we've got is about 20 minutes of the interview where we go through, discuss how we met in Public Square in Cleveland. Then we go on and discuss the painting in detail. And really, it's a magnificent piece. If you've never seen it before, if you missed my interview a couple weeks ago, you're going to be blown away by this thing. It's billboard size, and it's completely fascinating. Again, we'll have most of the interview here right now on The Honest Media. You can see the rest of it online at thehonestmedia.com, where you can also enter to win a free signed print, and it's a big print. And you can also get 15% off should you choose to not take your chances with winning and merely buy one. We'll be right back. I'm Tom Papper for The Honest Media, here with Craig Chrysler. I'm Tom Pappert here with Julian Raven, the Trump painting artist. You may have seen him a couple weeks ago. You may have seen him online. And for those who don't know, he's got a very interesting backstory. But first, let's talk about Cleveland. What did you think of Cleveland?
I thought it was incredible. I mean, as we discussed when I met you there, Tom, it was a life-changing experience for me. And it was such a broad experience. You know, I went from very important, highfalutin meetings in the morning with the New York delegation and all the New York brass, and I got to meet really, really important people. I got to speak to Newt Gingrich and ask him a question in one of the interactions we had, so that was really important. Then down with the middle of the day was all, protests and interacting with people on a whole different level. And then the evening then was a whole different show after, it was the convention, so it was a whole different gig altogether. So really a dramatic set of different experiences every day for me. So very exciting, and it was life-changing. I'll never be the same again.
And now you are the Trump painting artist. And tell us one more time, what is the official name of your, I'm going to call it a masterpiece. What's the name of your masterpiece?
It's called Unafraid and Unashamed.
Unafraid and Unashamed. And tell me a little bit of your inspiration for creating it, when the idea came to you, and how it came to fruition.
Well, last year, with Donald Trump entering the race, I was very excited. We were excited up here in New York State, especially upstate New York, when Donald Trump expressed an interest to run as governor a few years ago. We live in a very depressed region. It's very beautiful. Years ago, there was huge industry in upstate New York. But in the last, 30, 40, 50 years, we've experienced a massive downturn. So we're looking for great economic leadership here in New York State. So Donald Trump was the answer. That didn't happen. And then when June 16th came about last year and Donald Trump entered the race, I was like, wow, this is fantastic. This is what we've been waiting for, bigger and better than New York State. This is now for the country. As an artist, I was busy working on other projects. And about July 9th I had sat down at my computer, I was listening to Donald Trump speak, and looking at a photo of his online. It was this sort of stare photograph that he has out there, this look. And as I'm looking at it, listening to his words, I have the words sort of ticker tape across my mind, unafraid and unashamed. And at that moment, I have an image in my mind, a picture or vision, however you want to say it, of a bald eagle swooping down to catch a falling American flag. It was as if a flagpole was falling, the flag was falling, and right in that last minute, the eagle swoops in and rescues the flag. And I didn't pay it too much mind. I was busy working on other projects as an artist. But that image was there, a face, an eagle, and a flag. And that's how it was for about 3 or 4 weeks. And then the next stage happened.
Now, tell me a little bit about that process when you were meditating on the painting, because I've seen the full picture and I think it depicts somewhat of a timeline. So tell me about how things continued along that journey.
I had this internal pressure growing inside of me. Daily, I would be thinking on the face, the eagle, the flag. how would this painting come about? What would be the composition? How would I make it so there would be a bold portrait, but at the same time convey this vision, this story that was unfolding? And, so I was constantly in this place, but the pressure to do it increased daily. And about 3 or 4 weeks into it, and I remember it was July 9th when I started, I was into the beginning of August, and I was sitting at my computer at home, working now for the first time on a bald eagle. I said, I've got to find an eagle with the right expression, an eagle that's grabbing this flag, that's rescuing the flag. And I thought of an eagle catching a fish, when they swoop down and grab a fish, and this really powerful event that takes place when an eagle hunts. And I thought, wow, I found this image. I had found it on July 9th, and I was developing it. I couldn't find a screaming eagle that was fishing at the same time. And so I was creating an eagle, and my young daughter, Victoria, who's with me tonight, she comes into my room behind me, and she looks at the screen, and she says, Dad, what are you doing? Are you going to build a sculpture of an eagle? And I said, no, sweetheart, blah, 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 blah. And then I said, painting. And she sort of was like, oh, whatever, and left the room. She does an about turn, walks back into my office and says, Dad, why don't you paint a painting of the eagle, give it to Donald Trump, so when he becomes president, he can hang it in the White House? Now, my daughter knew nothing of what I was thinking for the last 3 to 4 weeks. Nobody did. It was an internal meditation. I do most of my work upstairs. I call it my upstairs studio inside my head. I have hundreds of pieces of work going on at the same time, usually, and this was just another piece at that time. But when my daughter said this, I turned and I looked at her and I was like, wow, where did you get that from? And stood there staring at her. 13-year-old at the time, shrugged her shoulders, walked out the door. She didn't say anything more. To me, it was a confirmation that, my goodness, you better get on and paint this painting. So I continued to work on it. But what was amazing was the next morning, when I turned on the news, I was like, let me see what Donald Trump is saying today. I go to CNN, and there on their video segments, there was a starting segment for the day, very early in the morning, 8, 9 a.m., and it said, I had a visitor today. And that morning, Donald Trump had given an interview, and he had a visitor, and there was this segment, and I clicked on it and said, well, let's see what this is about. I pressed play on this video, and there on the screen is a still shot leading into this video segment, and it's Donald Trump standing in his office like this with a bald eagle perched on his arm. Have you seen that picture, Tom?
Yes.
I tell you, listen, I froze staring at the screen. My first impression was it was a photo montage, because I was like, someone is playing a trick on me, because I've been meditating on this face and this bird and flag for a month nearly. My daughter out of nowhere says, Dad, why don't you paint a painting of the eagle, give it to Donald Trump, so when he becomes president, he can hang it in the White House. And the very next morning, wow, Donald Trump standing in his office in Trump Tower with a bald eagle perched on his arm. And then the video rolls, and there he is sitting at his desk with the bald eagle sitting on his desk. Now, to me, as somebody who is, as a Christian, as a believer, I'm curious. I want to know what God's will is, what is God doing? And to me, that was a multiple level of confirmation to me to say, you need to paint this painting. This is major. This is serious. I got such a conviction to paint this painting from that moment. It literally made me nearly fall off my chair. I could not believe my eyes, to be honest with you. I stared at the screen. I was like, what is that? What am I seeing? And that led me, within an hour's time, I was down in my studio where I am right now, building this huge 7 by 15-foot frame. That's the size of the actual painting. The finished frame dimensions with the decorative frame are 8 by 16 feet. And so I worked on this frame, stretched the canvas, and I began painting, not even having more than just a face, an eagle, and a flag. I had nothing worked out. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I had to start painting unafraid and unashamed. And I did, and I didn't stop for nearly 600 hours, morning, noon, and night. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't even rest. I lay there in bed like with this picture in my head. My wife's like, are you all right, sweetie? I'd get up at ungodly hours. I was in my studio. I'm sleeping in here. I mean, I could not be normal. I couldn't stop this process. It radically impacted me. And it changed my life for those nearly 600 hours. I mean, it was 8 weeks solid, including building the frame, morning, noon, and night. And it was unstoppable. So that is the story of the inspiration of the painting. And now I'd like to present it to you because it's behind me, behind that curtain.
And this is the full version. We have before seen a smaller version, but this is the original, the masterpiece, the one-of-a-kind creation.
So I don't know, you can see it pretty much in the frame there over my shoulder. And we'll take a little look at it. Like I said, it's 8 feet tall in its finished dimensions. It's actually 93 inches, it's 3 inches off, and then it's like 3 inches off, 16 feet long. It's so much easier to say 8 by 16 feet. And I built a wall for it. And, it's a 10-foot by 16-foot wall. We set up the lights and the flag because we've been showing it, obviously. So as I've traveled with it, that's how I've displayed the painting.
Okay, and it looks like it tells a story. Can you tell me a little bit about the story that the painting tells? I remember you mentioning it was a timeline, a continuum, was the word you used.
Correct. Well, come with me, and I'll give you a little tour. It's a symbolic painting. As I painted it, like I explained before, I didn't know what I was doing. In other words, I hadn't planned, other than this face, the flag, and an eagle. I didn't know what was going on other than the basic gist of the composition was this eagle representing the spirit of the land, the spirit of the people, the spirit of God even, that this symbolic creature would rescue this nation, which was obviously symbolized by the flag. So I started with that, but as you can see, there's far more detail in it. And the flag, as I started painting it, it began to take on this very long shape. It was very, very long. And as I developed it, the original idea of the falling flag on the flagpole was the flag was attached or grounded to the device that secures it. In other words, a flag is attached to the flagpole. It's like its anchor, its foundation. And so as I developed it, the pole disappeared and the flag, as you can see, this flag is back to front. It's cut off. The ropes are cut off here at where would be our founding. And these then become some of the main symbols in the painting. And, you know, before I go into explaining what they are, it's nice for people to try to work out what they are. But this, for example, it's a historic symbol. And what it is it's one coil of the Gadsden snake from the Don't Tread on Me flag from 1776. As you can see, it's one coil. You can see the mouth like here. It's a cut-off rope, but it's also a snake. Can you see that, Tom?
I can. That's very clever. I did not put that together when I was standing in Cleveland. I thank you for explaining that to our viewers.
Well, so this then is one of the founding values from what I see as a newborn citizen of our great nation is the spirit of independence that America gave birth to in the world, the spirit of these men who stood up with such courage against the forces of tyranny coming from the United Kingdom under King George, and they said, no, no more, that's enough. And that's embodied here in this painting, in this symbol, this Don't Tread on Me symbol, which was such a major symbol of the Civil War, the Revolutionary War. And so that to me is very important. So we have this snake, and you can see it's upside down, and it's like the snake is dead. It's cut off, the rope's cut off, and the snake's upside down in like the position, like we've lost that spirit, not completely, because it burns still in the hearts of many, many Americans across this country. But it's as if we've lost that founding value of independence as our nation is being dragged into a globalist mentality. So that's one of the founding values here. And then down here, this other rope that you can see, it's the ancient Christian symbol of the fish, or ichthys. I don't make it that obvious, but it's obvious. I even painted the squashed end of a cut-off rope flattened out like a fishtail, as you can see here. So this is the Christian symbol, again, of our founding values, our Judeo-Christian principles, our moral values that are critical to the greatness of the United States of America. So these two elements that attach the nation to the flagpole are cut off. As you can see, we're severed, and the flag as a result is sort of just billowing and floating in space. Again, symbolic of sort of like losing your moorings and just blowing around in the wind. That's what's going on. Now, the story, the symbolism as I was painting it continues, even down to, for example, if you can focus right here, Victoria, this is the torn flag. Can you see this right here? That's
I can see the tears, and I can see what appears to be some texture as well.
right. If you look at this symbol right there, it's that one right there. Can you see that?
Yes, I can see it.
What is that?
Oh, it's a child.
It is. It's a baby. And it's one of the tears in the fabric of the flag. You see, this is the torn, fading, falling flag. And this is one of the tears in the fabric, the taking of babies, unborn babies in the womb, one of the great causes of our decline as a great nation. So it's one of the symbols in this torn. The edges are frayed, that there's a tear here, the tension in our nation, you know, the civil war that we've had, and how people, there's always a lot of hostility. People are always this tension before revolution or civil. I mean, it's an unfortunate reality, but the further we drift from our values, people get more frustrated and more angry, and so there's this tension. So the different symbols then, even down here, we have you can see this part right here. Can you see that?
Yes, we the people, is that correct?
Correct, yeah, but it's faded. It's the faded we the people. Our voice is fading. The people's voice is fading. The idea, the genius of America in those three words, we the people, is being taken away. The power of that is being sapped out of it because, you know, we've been turned into a country where government is the answer and big government is the answer. Whereas, no, the genius of America is in those three words, we the people.
Now, tell me a little bit about the restoration that happens later on in the painting.
The flag continues, again, like a continuum of time. This is sort of long, stretched out flag. Once the flag comes under the wing of the eagle, it gets healed. In other words, all the tears disappear, the roughness, the rips, all of it disappears, and you get like a silky texture come out from under the wing of the eagle. So once it's under this stage we're going through here, right up to the second stage where you actually, you know, back over there, you could see the feathers, like fingers, were actually catching the rope. I don't know, can you see that part right there?
Yes, I can see that it's intertwined.
Right, so it's sort of catching the flag on one end. At the same time, this was this snatching part of the flag right here, this grabbing, which is quite an aggressive gesture. You know, when these eagles pounce on these fish out of nowhere, they you know, can you imagine this experience? I mean, this massive bird with these huge talons just set upon this fish, and sometimes those fish are massive, much bigger than the bird itself.
Right.
Manages to wrestle it out of the water. So very powerful, that arresting or that snatching of the fish. So that's what's happening here. So this massive bird, I wanted to paint an enormous bird. I think it's about 8 feet, nearly 9 feet in tip to tip of the wings. So you could really get a sense of this enormous bird grabbing the flag, and as the flag was falling, it's snatching the flag, rescuing it, and as it's being now under the shadow of the wings, which is technically this blue here is the shadow being cast in the composition by the rising white sun in the east. That light is casting on the back of the eagle, causing a shadow that's falling on the back of Donald Trump, symbolizing that Donald Trump is under the shadow of divine providence, that he's under the hand of this guiding force over history and the history of our nation. And so we have this moment where we have new stripes being pulled down from heaven, but it's coming down and out of Donald Trump, at the same time catching the flag as it's falling. So this sort of, the falling flag is being rescued, and at the same time, the Make America Great Again, the recreation or the restoration is happening with new stripes. The ink, as it's a shadow this way, is an ink coming this way, where we're seeing coming again out of Trump the materials for a fresh flag, for new stripes, new stars, and new ink for a restored flag. And that again is symbolizing the Make America Great Again, because if you think about it, how do you paint a picture of the words Make America Great Again? It's a very difficult word picture to paint in an image. So to me, this was that process, making America great again, this grabbing once again of our nation that's falling, this aggressive, it's like someone driving a car off the cliff. You don't politely ask them to drive back on the road, please. You grab the wheel and you pull the car out of its course into destruction. You pull it into, obviously it's a salvation, basically. So that's what's happening here. So out of this man, this instrument, the spirit then is pulling, recreating, and rescuing the falling flag, all simultaneously. And as a continuum, like a timeline, we are in this stage of the continuum right here. It continues on, and its very beginning is over there. So that gives a sense of that it's history that we're part of here, and this is where we are. This is what's taking place in our nation right now.
And it really drives home the idea that Donald Trump, you call him an instrument. He calls himself a messenger. This is a larger movement being expressed through Donald Trump. And I think, if I understand correctly, your painting does an excellent job of explaining that.
Well, I believe that. I absolutely believe it, that it's the hand of Providence on his life. He doesn't even know about it. He may not even have a consciousness of it. It's just his age, the trajectory of his life, being prepared for this time in history. Those things are what's being captured here. And the spirit that Trump, you see, Trump is, in the painting, Trump is silent. He's thinking. He's got the look. He's got the gears are turning. But the bird is screaming. The bird has got the scream. It's that alarm. It's that call. And that's what's happening. So the bird is, it's like what's going on in his head is being expressed on the screen right here.
And that's really something else. I honestly, I've never seen anything quite like it. And you say it took you over 600 hours to complete this.
Yep, it's approximately, I worked it out day by day, and it's not because I just painted it once and got it right. It's because I painted it over and over again. This bird took me weeks to paint. I couldn't get it right, and not that it was bad. My wife would come in and say, "Oh, sweetie, that looks great." And I said, "Yeah, but it's not right." And I would spend a whole week on this part of the wing, and then I'd paint over it, and I'd paint it out, and I'd do it again, or the bird, the head of the bird. Since I couldn't find a screaming eagle that was coming out of the water, I created the bird, making it look right. It was so difficult. It was the hardest thing I did in my life, and that's why it took me, it was ad nauseum. It was this continual drive to get it. It was until it looked right.